So today we are making a cake that has been part of our family story for many years. In Germany it's called Hans Jensen Torte, but in our house the name is about to change. A few years ago I made two of these cakes for Raven and Robin's wedding. Two full cakes and they were gone in no time. That's when we realized this cake had officially become Raven's favorite. She even made it herself for her birthday. And while she was baking it, I got a phone call. The base felt a little too soft, so today I will show you how to deal with that. But the story goes back even further. The first time this cake was made for me, it wasn't by me, it was by my wife. I was living in Syracuse at the time and she was in Barrie, about a 6-hour drive away. She asked me what cake I want for my birthday. I told her this one is probably the easiest to make. So she made it, packed it carefully, and drove those 6 hours all the way to Syracuse to surprise me. It was the first cake she ever made for me. And now, after weddings, birthdays, and many family dinners, we are giving it a new name. From today on, in our family, this is the Raven and Robin cake. So now we're basically talking about all the ingredients, what we have in this cake. So the base has basically 4 egg yolks, 120 grams sugar, 125 grams of soft butter, 150 grams of flours, some baking powder, and the meringue on the top will basically have the egg whites, 200 grams of sugar, a little bit vanilla, and almond flakes as well. So let's get started and put this all nicely together for us today. Okay, so now we're getting started with dividing the eggs. In this case, the only thing what you have to be really careful is that none of the egg yolk gets into the egg white, obviously. You just want to make sure that it's nice and clean. And ideally your egg is at room temperature, right? Makes a few things easier, makes the dividing a little bit easier, and also your meringue will turn out much better that way. You can already see how the egg white is basically moving much smoother as it is at room temperature than it would be straight out of the fridge. So now we are mixing the egg white. So now we're putting in the sugar. As you can see, it formed a little bit of the egg white, and I just let it run slowly. What I did do is I measured it up before, so this is 200 grams of sugar, and I pour this in slowly. So now basically after we mix the egg white, what you want to see, you basically want to see glossy peaks that hold their shape. When you lift the whisk, the peak should stand up and maybe just bend slightly at the tip. It shouldn't collapse and it shouldn't look dry or grainy. Smooth and shiny, that's the way you want it. Just like this. So now we're transferring this to a glass bowl and mix then the base into this bowl as well. So less of a mess if we use the same bowl. And be gentle when you transfer it. As you can see, I poured the egg yolks in there now, and we're going to add 120 grams of sugar. slightly more, 127, but that's okay. So this morning I forgot to take the butter out, and for this one you definitely want to have soft butter. So to get the butter quickly soft, what I did is I just cut it in cubes, I scaled it, and as you can see, this is now basically 125 grams of butter which I need, and now it's soft. It takes about 15 minutes to become soft, so you're not wasting a lot of time this way. And now I'm just going to pour it in there. So now we're mixing the three ingredients, which is the egg yolk, the sugar, and the butter. So now we're adding the 150 grams of flour to this. And I like always to use a spoon. Just gives me better control. And for the baking powder, what we're doing is it's 1 teaspoon. We're creating a little bit of crater in here. And then we're mixing this in slightly into the flour. So this we are mixing now on the lowest speed. So as you can see, basically the batter is now soft and slightly sticky, but that's normal. Don't add extra flour, just spread it gently with a spatula. Now you can see how sticky this is. So what we're doing is we're using some parchment paper and put it on the parchment paper. So what we're doing now is we're putting the base into the baking pan, but before we do that, we're going to put the parchment paper in. As you can see, I just have a square parchment paper, and it's actually really nice to do it this way. So you just put your square parchment paper down like this, put the ring over the top, and close it in. And voila, you see this? This is nice and flat, it's easy, no cutting, simple. And now we're going to put the butter on top of this. So don't worry about it, it's very sticky, and that's absolutely normal. That's the way it is, and that's basically why Raven called me and says, hey, something isn't quite right here, and it's okay. As you can see, I'm putting it from the inside to the outside. And as you can see, it's never perfectly flat, but that's okay. Traditionally, you can divide the base and bake 2 identical layers. Today I'm doing it slightly differently. I'm putting the base only on the bottom layer and making the top layer just meringue. That way, when you cut into it, it's lighter and easier to eat. So in here for the bottom one, we only use about 40% and the rest goes on the top. So now you can see the bottom layer is all covered, and we also placing a few almonds on there as well. I like the sound what it makes when the almonds drop on the meringue. Okay, so the lower level is done. Now we're going on to the upper level. The upper level will do exactly the same thing. And now we're putting the rest of the meringue in here. So here we are putting now also almonds on the top as well. Okay, so this looks nice. So now here's the critical part. We're gonna cook this at 320 degrees. We're gonna put the bottom layer on the lower shelf and the upper layer on the upper shelf. The upper one cooks about 25 to 30 minutes and the lower one 40 to 45 minutes. The real story will basically, an indicator will tell us if it's right or wrong, is the color. So I basically want to look at the light golden color. That's what I want to see on the meringue. And obviously a dry surface and not too dark or brown. And that's it. I will show you basically after 25 minutes or 30 minutes what it looked like, so you have a good idea what the finished base should look. Okay, let's put it in the oven. So I basically took it out after 40 minutes. I baked it on 320 degrees. As I said, this one you just want to do by color. That's important. So you can see that the almonds are gold brown, right? And that's it. That's all what you need to do. Go by color. I checked every 5 minutes. So I put it in for 25, checked after 5 minutes, and then from there on, every 5 minutes, just check. And if it looks like this, take it out. So for the lower tray, I baked it about 15 minutes longer than the top layer. This one has the butter base underneath, so it simply needs more time to fully set and become stable. Earlier when I was spreading the base, I noticed something helpful. If you slightly wet your hands, you can smooth it out perfectly without it sticking. So if you don't want to use a spatula, that's a simple trick that works really well. So just wet your hands a little bit and it will not stick to your hands if you're not comfortable with a spatula to spreading it out. And of course, I thought I was recording while cutting this, and I wasn't. But that's okay. The only person who doesn't make mistakes is the one who doesn't do anything. So just to show you from the process how I'm doing it, I basically cut out first in half, then cut it again in half. And now basically each quarter I'm gonna cut 2 slices. And what we have to be really careful of is that the knife basically stays clean. So in my case, what I sometimes have to do after a cut or two, I have to basically clean my knife and use a serrated knife, right? It cuts better, and let the knife do the work. So as you can see, I basically move back and forth, and I'm going to support a little bit at the end here while I'm cutting through. And this is what I mean, if you have stuff like this on it, on the knife, then just clean it up and cut the rest. So now I will show you how to release the lower level. I just use a regular knife here, and what we're doing is we're cutting around the outside, just as this, as you can see. And then when we cut it, after we cut once all the way around, then we're just going to release this. As you can see, it worked out really nicely. And then slowly release, just make sure, just in case it's stuck somewhere. But voila, that's it. Okay, so what we're doing now is we're just taking this off the base. So I'm just going to pull this out a little bit here, like that. And then I can take my knife and lift it up slightly. And then I should be able to pull it off there. Just like this. See? Nicely. All done. And we let this cool now. If it's cold enough, then we can put it, transfer it onto caking, onto a plate. And that's it. Okay, now we're transferring it to this tray here. And yeah, it should be fairly simple because it's on parchment paper, right? So I'm going to lift it up slightly here, go over there and just slide it up like this. There we go. Center it a little bit. So it should be nice. So for this one, you don't have to use strawberry. This works beautiful with peaches, blueberries, raspberry, even mixed berries. Just use whatever is in season, right? You can even use nectarines, apricots, mango, even canned mandarins. But the one thing what you have to make sure that it's well dry. So whatever fruit you use, make sure it's dry. Too much moisture will basically soften the meringue. Okay, let's cut into these beautiful strawberries. So we're just going to cut it in half. And then from there, we're going to cut it in multiple slices. They shouldn't be huge chunks, but nicely, right? As you can see. So now we're making 500 grams of whipping cream. Okay, 500 to the dot. So what I'm doing next is I'm going to put in 5 tablespoons of sugar, and I'm basically always on the amount of how much whipped cream I have. If I would have 400 grams, I would use 4. So that's what I do. I just pour it in like this one. And we also obviously put always a little bit pure vanilla in it as well. This actually I never measure, I just go by feeling. So whatever you like, you can also measure it. And to stabilize the whipping cream, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put in 2 teaspoons of vanilla pudding powder or any pudding powder. This will basically just stabilize it. Just in case you're interested, what I used here, this is that, right? It's a cream flavor, but anything will do. And then just turn it on slowly. So my wife always likes a bit more sugar, so that's why I added another couple tablespoons. So now we're coming to the fun part, to the assembly of everything. For our strawberries, I just put a paper towel on the top too to take the moisture off, right? So this is what it looks like. And now we're basically putting them nicely on the top here. And obviously you can just use your fingers and place them as you like it. There are several different ways to go about it, but I just like to pour them on top as they go. So the way we place the strawberries is just so that the strawberry stays away from the outer edge, and on the outside we will then see only the whipped cream. Now we're placing the whipped cream on top of it. So always basically use a spatula first to have it roughly in there, and then you can use some other tools to make it more final, right? So again, the nice part here is it doesn't have to be perfect, right? By any imagination. because nobody will see how flat and nicely this is at the end of the day. It should just be even somewhat, and at the end of the day it looks nice, and guess what? It will taste amazing regardless. Okay, now here we come to the part where we have to be really careful. Okay, just be careful, and then we have a final beautiful cake. As you can see, you have to be really careful with this. And the first piece broke off there a little bit, which is okay. We're just going to take this and put it right there where it belongs. Just like that. And now to stabilize it, we're going to put in the next piece next to it. Yeah, so here you want to take your time. There's no rush on this one. Okay. Now with the last two pieces we have to be careful. Just leave enough space so that you can put in the last one. Okay, so now we have the last piece to be able to slide in there. We'll see how that one goes. That's why I thought sometimes the last piece is a little bit of a challenge, but yeah, we made it in nicely. So voila, now we have an assembled cake, and now we're getting to the best part of this. We're getting to the tasting. Before I got into it, this cake became special in our family because of our son Robin, which we call Bobby, and his wife Raven. We first made a version of this for them, and since then it quietly became part of their story and ours. Some cakes are complicated, some cakes are famous, and some just quietly become someone's favorite. And this one belongs to Raven, clearly. Alright, let's cut into the cake. I'm really looking forward to this. Okay. Oh boy. This looks just amazing, as you can see. You can see the nice strawberries in the top and the base. Now let's taste this. Mm. Mm-mm. This tastes really nicely with the strawberry. I love it.